YouTube. We should be live-ish, I think. Yes, we
We're
are.
live-ish. Does that make us zombies?
Yes.
I mean, for the most part, my spiritual state has always been very close to zombie. At least this weekend, I have been doing nothing but napping. Hello, Angela.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello,
Glenn.
hello, Glenn. Welcome to this month's Stitch and Bitch, the February Stitch and Bitch, the official one. You may have seen us last week for a special episode of our Hugo nominations, where you also saw Angela as our special guest. And today we're talking about all things crafts and media and the books we've been reading. So let's start by introducing ourselves. I will go in order. So, hi, I'm Reija. My channel is Bookfinch. You have found yourself here. You're in the right place. And I usually talk about manga and comics and science fiction and fantasy books. Currently in a bit of a romance kick, which I will be talking about when we get to the books we're reading. Rachel, will you go next?
Hey, my name is Rachel. My channel is Collinati. I do currently a lot more fiber crafts than reading, but I am reading fantasy and science fiction and obsessed with a manga that I'll talk about later. Ray will talk about it later too. And that's pretty much me today.
Di, will you go next?
Hi, my name's Diana. My channel is Bookish Di. I also read science fiction, fantasy, as well as nonfiction. And I have not been reading this month because, as we were talking about before we went live, my brain has just been consumed with Baldur's Gate. But I'm hoping that will die down a bit and I can get back to reading.
To be fair, Baldur's Gate is also like 70% reading.
Yes, but there's also like combat and smooching and
Yes.
pushing people off cliffs.
Yeah, the smooching is an
More
important
smooching.
part. All right, Kelsey.
I'm Kelsey. My channel is The Fancy Hat Lady Reads, both on YouTube and on TikTok. I read fantasy and science fiction, and I feel like all of us are balancing each other out really well this month. Because, like, Rachel, you're crafting, Di, you're gaming, and like I'm reading all the things. I've been having the most intense reading month.
I'm very happy. I wish I was reading that much.
That is excellent. So while I am trying to learn how to do Pearl again, Rachel, can you start us off with what we're making this month?
Sure. This is color work. It's actually pretty nice. It's going to be one of those Mobius cowls where you knit a tube and then you seam it and with a little twist in it. So anyway, this is the Velvet Mirror cowl by Andrea Mowry, and I'm going to finish it in February. I have this is the 4th time I have started this pattern, and I am almost to the halfway point. So.
Okay, Di.
I am still working on my Rose City Yarn Crawl Knit Along. Technically all the clues are out, but I'm still working on week 3. So you can see it like went from beads to like a little bit of cabling, and now it is stripes.
Oh, show me the beads. Show me the beads. I didn't realize there was beading on it. That's so cool.
I don't know why, but that looks like one of those like Tudor sleeves with pearls.
It does. Oh, it does. Yeah. So imagine that, but with like the smocking stitch in.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Are you doing the thing where you like string the beads on the yarn first, or the crochet hook method?
Crochet hook method.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing it now because this section isn't beading. Where is my tiny little crochet hook? I have a tiny little crochet hook, which is buried in this bag of yarn that I will find at some point. But
I have had issues getting a crochet hook small enough.
I went to Joann's and found, oh, there it is. It's like teeny, teeny, tiny.
What does it have a letter or sizers or anything?
Number 8, so it's a 0.9 millimeter.
Yeah, I think I've had to borrow my mom's, which I think is a 10 before. So that looks really cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Kelsey.
I am only sort of symbolically crafting today because I don't actually have much that I can get done on this right now, and it's not actually like an important craft, but I feel like my fancy tinfoil hat is going to be needed again, so I am gradually working on upgrades to it. I feel like we're not done with this, like,
yeah.
you know, just in case I need to take to TikTok or YouTube again with Hugo Awards nonsense, I'm adding some gray foam around the edge here so that it's more comfortable because this is extremely itchy.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then I also bought, because my whole idea with this was this was supposed to be a bird's nest on top, but from most angles on camera, you can't really see what that is. So I bought, to go on it, old sparkly
Aww.
bird.
I love it.
And it's gonna go on top. But I don't think I'm doing this part quite yet. I think I also want to add like some texture to the nest with wire, and I just don't have enough silver colored wire to like do that, and I have to go to a craft store and buy some wire.
This is going to be the fanciest, most complex tinfoil conspiracy hat ever. Like,
yes,
this is my goal. I will keep it forever, and anytime anything deserves a tinfoil hat.
You should just keep adding to it. Every time there's a new scandal or drama, you just add a thing to the tinfoil hat until it becomes like a monstrosity of like tentacle fantasticness.
Exactly. So that is my symbolic craft of the day that I'm not actually going to do much on. Yeah.
The best thing ever to cap it off would be wearing it to the WisFist business meeting in Glasgow.
Yes.
Well, that would be so good, but it's not going to pack either.
I know.
Hey, here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's made of tinfoil. We can buy tinfoil in Glasgow out of a supermarket and make a quick hat. Like a quick tinfoil fascinator even.
It is made of a little bit more than tinfoil. It is made on an actual fascinator base. Like there's an actual hat under here. But these I can get these, and I can bring these places. The fascinator.
Also, Kelsey, you could always wear it to the plane. And that is how you can manage to bring it overseas without damaging it.
Yes, that would be a solution. TSA would look at me strangely.
Oh, I'm sure they've seen stranger.
I'm also sure they have seen many strange things. Good news is I have learned how to purl again now.
Yay!
It seems that this is a skill that I have to relearn every single time we go live. Yes, I'm still making the jumper. I'm still trying to get to this year, I swear, this year I will finish it. I swear.
You will.
I just need a lot of peer pressure, tea, and motivation. But if Rachel is gonna finish her jumper to wear to Glasgow, I'm endeavoring to try and finish mine in time for Glasgow as well. There's a few months. I can do this.
I'm going to bug you when I get my yarn and start on it again. I will be like, hey, Rhea.
Yes.
Are you working on yours?
Yes.
Got it.
That sounds excellent.
Look who did.
Cat!
Kitty!
First cat of the night. Ah.
Squishiness.
Oh.
That's you.
This is a good. If you keep adding each time, it will be weight training for Kelsey. Yes,
Yeah.
Kelsey will have a very robust neck.
I did say that I have a story about the hat that I'm wearing now, and it's not much of a story, but if you want to hear it now.
Yeah, let's go. Tell the
Um,
story of the hat.
so this is a hat that is not new to me. I've had it for a couple years. I wear it a lot in, the fall and winter. It's an everyday hat, not a fancy booktube hat for me, which means like the only time you would ever see it is on Stitch and Bitch or like TikTok, not my regular YouTube channel. So like I don't think the internet has seen me in this hat before, even though I wear it a lot. But I bought it a couple years ago at a thrift store for something like maybe $20, I don't know. And just like a couple weeks ago, it finally occurred to me to Google the brand on the label to see like what else exists and what else they have. And this is not some mass-produced brand. This is a real milliner, and they sell these for like $200.
Oh, nice.
What?
And I've been wearing it to the grocery store.
I mean, why not? Why not
know,
be
but,
fancy
like,
to the grocery store?
I feel like I've been like flaunting fashion I didn't know I was flaunting. But it's really nice. I love it. It's got this blue color. Like
Is it
this
like
is
felted?
It is. So the flower is like a darker blue felt, and then this is the worst possible light and camera to show you the nuances of this hat. It has like just these veins of blue and gray and undertones of even like pink and purple under it. It's extremely gorgeous, and it like I feel like it really elevates a blue jeans look because it matches the color of like blue jeans denim really well.
I think this is the most New York thing, just grabbing just $20 off a thrift store somewhere, and oh my god, it's like a $200 haute couture brand thing.
Yeah, like handmade millinery, yeah. Anyways, it's absolutely gorgeous, and I've been wearing it as like one of my go-to fall and winter hats for a long time, and now I feel fancy about it.
The hat you didn't think was fancy now suddenly turned even fancier.
It turned fancy, yeah. So that is my story about this hat.
Do we want to talk about our reading next? I think rotation-wise, Dai, you will be next with your.
I mean, I did, like I said, I have finished 2 things this month. I mean, we didn't really talk in January where I did read more, but some stuff that I finished recently that I loved. I listened to Assassins of Thassalon by Lois McMaster Bujold, and it was delightful. I loved it. Penric and Desdemona remain my favorite. I realized, so just for context, I really liked Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson, and
I liked it too.
Fairloot did an edition for their monthly book box, and secondhand prices have been absurd, like $70, like $60 to $70 is the lowest I've seen it. And it's been kind of my thing of like, if I found it for a good price, I'd buy it because I really love the book and I think it's beautiful. Someone was selling it for $25 on one of the buy sell trade groups, and it came this.
Oh, nice.
But so the reason I'm bringing this up is I was thinking about it, I'm like, wait, it's the same dynamic, a little bit of the same dynamic that Penric and Des have, where in Vespertine you have a revenant attached to a nun who's like trying to deal with the undead, and with Penric and Desdemona, it's, you know, a demon attached to a young man who becomes a scholar. And I'm just like, you know what? That dynamic of like thing attached to person, unmatched. It's maybe my new favorite trope. I don't know.
Yeah, and also this whole kind of like enemies to friends kind of thing, or reluctant people who don't like each other having to work together because they're literally stuck to each other.
Got that with Penric and Des, because Penric was like, I know you're a demon, but you're friend-shaped, and I'm going to call you Desdemona.
Yes.
Yeah, Penric is like a little bit of a golden retriever, and I love him.
A little bit.
He's a lot of a golden retriever. I also love that Penric and Miles are like, they both get into shenanigans, but like how they get into shenanigans is like completely different. Miles, it's like, well, if it isn't the consequences of my own action. And Penric is like, I'm suffering because I'm God's favorite child. Essentially, like it's just two different things. Like, things happen to Miles because he instigates them. Things happen to Penric because God is like, well, you and Desdemona can, or the bastard's just like, you and Desdemona can handle it. Have fun.
Uh-huh.
I have a question. I think I might have asked this before, but like, if I want to get like into Louis McMaster Bujold, especially the fantasy stuff, like, is it okay to start with Penric and Desdemona, or do I have to read the Chalian books first?
You can start with Penric and Desdemona. I think the Chalian ones, there's a little bit of continuity drift because they were published first. And so, like, I read The Curse of Chalion after I read several Penric and Desdemona series. And, like, there are things that are the same, but there are certain, like, smaller details that she develops much more in the Penric and Desdemona ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now it's only a matter of trying to figure out if any of them have been shipped to Finland into our library system, because aren't they subterranean books? Like,
she sells the ebooks.
Mm-hmm. The ebooks are technically self-published, so you might be able to get a hold of them.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And if not,
that's always my trouble with like subterranean press, is that they're not accessible outside of
in bind up editions
by Baen.
Yeah, by Baen. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Blackstone Audio does the audiobooks, which I like. But yeah, so I read Assassins of Thessalon, and then I read The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez, and that is probably the best book I've read so far this year in February. But it's this fantasy that is a story within a story, and there's like different points of view, and parts of it are third person, parts of it are second person, parts of it are first person, and it's a journey story, but it's also talking about like colonization and the collapse of empires. And it's just, yeah, I see Angela in the comments talking about it because it's one of her favorites, and it's really good, and I really enjoyed the audiobook.
I still want to read it because the cover is speaking to me. It's like candy. Eye candy.
It's so pretty.
I bought it. I want to read it, but I'm not able to read all the things at once. It's really sad.
And then I'm currently about a quarter of the way through Raybearer, and that I'm hoping to finish before the end of the month, so I can at least say I read 3 things in February. Maybe I'll also try and read some Dungeon Meshi because I have a few volumes checked out right now.
Yes.
I have volumes 5 through 7 checked out from the library.
Now I can't remember like what event happens in those volumes, but I remember that at that point it becomes a lot darker. Like,
yeah, so like
there's revelations.
Yeah, at the end of book 4, they use the dragon meat to resurrect someone, and I think my comment was, "Oh, there's no way that won't go horribly."
Yes, that. consequences. There's another character in Delicious in Dungeon. The main character of Laios is also the type of person who is like, oh, if it isn't the consequences, my own actions coming to haunt me day after day.
Anyway, so I might also try and read a couple of volumes of that.
I'm just so happy, especially now with the anime, that people are getting into Delicious in Dungeon. My sister got into Delicious in Dungeon, and I was like, yes, thank you. I feel validated now after all these years.
Yeah, it was you talking it up so much that made me want to check it out.
Yeah, like, and ironically, it's like it was originally Maya who made me read it. But she was more subtle about it. She was like, oh, I think you would like it. And then I read it, and then it became my new personality for several years.
Ma'am, don't eat my yarn. It's the face of a yarn thief.
Do you still have other books?
Nope, well, it's not one that I bought or read, but I did get my fancy Goldsboro edition of Feybound in the mail.
Ooh.
Oh, it's purple.
It's pretty.
Basically subscribe to the Goldsboro SFF subscription for like 2 months just to get this book.
I'm viscerally drawn to purple books.
It's so, and like basically
superficial.
every edition of Feybound is gorgeous. Like the Fairy Loot edition is also really pretty, and then you have the regular red cover. Like it's a very beautiful book. I still need to read it, but I'm hoping this will be the type of romantasy that I actually like, because I've liked Sarah El-Arifi's other books. So,
Kelsey, will you go next?
Ooh, boy. So I have already talked about some of the books that I've been reading this month on last week's Hugo recommendation stream, because I've been reading mostly things that were published last year or in series that are eligible, because I'm reading for Hugo noms. But the thing that where did they go? Did I not bring them? Still surrounded by the piles of books from the last stream. Oh no, I set the hat down on top of them. These are the books currently consuming my brain space, and like I'm making myself space them out. I haven't read the third one yet because I'm making myself read a few things in between them. But this is the first 2 books in the Tinkered Starsong trilogy by Gail Carriger. All 3 books were published last year, so they're all Hugo eligible, as is the series. And I did not think I was going to like the second book as much as the first book, because of like how much I loved the first book and how I couldn't quite imagine anything getting better from there. And then Demigod 12 made me feel so many emotions. And I'm not prepared for the third book. I'm just not. Either it's going to be massively disappointing because it doesn't ramp things up from here, or it will ramp things up from here and it will destroy me.
That series is definitely at the top of my TBR right now. I need to get on it. So.
But it's gonna be glorious destruction, positive destruction, if there is such a thing.
This is the most like found family is a trope that's so popular right now that like it gets thrown around a lot anytime there's just like a group of characters who end up doing plot together. But like when I tell you these books have the greatest found family, and like I'm obsessed with each and every one of these people, they're wonderful.
That's one of the things I really love about Gail Carriger's work, is the found family sort of thing. she has actually written a nonfiction book about the heroine cycle. And found family is one of the elements that she identifies as part of the heroine cycle versus the hero's journey sort of thing. So, yes.
That's very interesting because these books do have a male protagonist.
Right. And in her
yeah.
book, she does break down certain series that are led by male protagonists and explains why they're still technically heroine's journey, not hero's journey.
Interesting.
I mean, I would count probably Ellen Kushner's work in that as well, like in terms of like because it's
Yeah.
written mostly to like I don't know, like with a kind of female gaze in mind in certain aspects, especially in Privilege of the Sword.
Anyway, it's her nonfiction book is really interesting. If you like that kind of fantasy, like what is this? Like, how do I identify the thing that I really like? And it's like, oh, well, the thing you really like is heroine's journey.
Might have to read it. But yeah, I'm like trying to brace myself for book 3, and both of these books are books without like a huge amount of plot. Like it's high stakes, but it's not like conspiracy action. It's being recruited to be part of a galactic entertainment industry and like going on tour with your band, and things are really emotional about it.
Does it, like, have you ever read Wicked and the Divine? Is it any, because last time you mentioned something that it's like kind of in the idea that these pop groups are also kind of like spiritual, like deities or leaders in a way.
Yeah,
being reborn. It's pretty dark though.
It's so.
But it's like that was immediately when you described it last time that I went through like, oh, is it similar to that?
It's not fantasy, so it's not.
It's sci-fi, yeah.
It's sci-fi, so it's not divinity in the sense of like literal immortality and magic powers.
So it's more like kind of like socio-political in a way, like cultural.
What's going on here? There is a whole thing that's going on here that hasn't been fully explained yet about what the God Song is, as an art form that is more than art. It's something else. It causes this sort of altered psychological experience, which is why it's divine. But it's doing it in a sci-fi way as opposed to a fantasy way.
Yeah.
I haven't read it, but when I first heard about it from Gail Carriger, I thought it was a little bit like, what if aliens did K-pop idols?
It is very much, yes.
Yeah.
But but the art form itself and the way she kind of shows you how it works is still like very, very alien and very different from like normal music. So it's very interesting because each of these pantheons is composed of like 2 singers who are normally human and like 2 dancers who are usually alien, and then like 2 of the alien species who've come up with this whole thing, and they have like sound sensitive skin, and they like color change in response to the music and then project the colors on the dome that they perform in. So part of what's really fascinating for me is how the protagonist is figuring out how this art form works throughout the books, because it is so alien, but it makes sense.
Christopher says, just looked up Divinity 36 and you had me at barista.
There's a barista in it?
He's a barista. He makes everyone tea. And he cooks for his pantheon.
Maybe I'll try this.
But
Just
he's grumpy about it because he doesn't know how to show affection.
because, like, I deeply
for people.
liked Gail Carriger's other series, but maybe this will be more my
See,
jam.
I have a love-hate relationship with Gail Carriger because, like, I
It's not
liked
a love-hate
Soulless.
It's not
I
a lot.
liked I liked Soulless. I really enjoyed it, and in my heart of hearts, Soulless is still a standalone book that never had any sequels because I detested each of the sequels in that series. And but this sounds, and I have never read anything by Gail Carriger after that because I got so burnt by that series. I was just like, you had a good thing going, and then you proceeded to ruin it for me specifically. Because, like, and anyway, let's not go into that. I could talk about my hate for that series for hours. But I might try this.
I read one of the YA spin-off books, and I was like, maybe this will be better. Like, it won't have that gross werewolf dude who's like accusing Alexa or whatever her name is of cheating on him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Accusing her of cheating, while if he would use just like one extra brain cell, he would figure out like that whole thing.
I love that series, but I never liked that particular plot element. I thought it was just stupid.
Yeah, it's just like it dumbs down the character, or well, he's kind of a very what's the word, down to earth buff guy who doesn't think too much anyway. Like that's the trope of Lord Macon. But at the same time, like, that second book was a total character assassination of his, like,
well,
I was just like,
I read the spin-off series and it was just like teeth rottingly twee to the point.
Which one?
The
Finishing School?
Finishing School or
I hate it. I read book one and I was just like, okay, this is not for me.
I have the first couple books of those, and I think I might read them. I actually bounced off of Soulless. Well, I read the whole thing, but I thought it was only okay, and I didn't read the sequels. So then I was very uncertain of where to go next with her writing, because I thought, the Finishing School books might be what I would want to read, but I wasn't sure.
I just really didn't like her writing style for those books.
You might or might not like these. I find these incredibly funny, like laugh out loud funny.
Mm-hmm.
But I can get how some of that comedy might come across as twee to people.
I mean, I will say, like,
humor is subjective.
Yeah, it could have just been like the setting too, where it was just like that didn't help with the tweeness.
I have decided that whether or not I end up going back and reading a bunch more of her Parasol verse, I'm committed to reading any more sci-fi she writes. I've decided that I like her as a sci-fi writer.
Okay.
I think there is, I'm pretty sure, one other book in the Tinkered Stars universe.
There are two others. One of them is considerably older, and it is YA.
Is that one Crud Rat?
Yes. And
it's been rewritten and re-released recently.
Probably because it ties into these.
Yeah, she updated it specifically so that the universe would be consistent across the new series.
Yeah, so I probably will read that. I don't know if I want to, though, because, well, I do want to, but like, it's going to make me have more feelings about Fex, who is the protagonist of this, but it probably won't have Fex in it, and that will make me mad. And then The Fifth Gender is the other one that's set in this universe that's a standalone romance novel.
The Fifth Gender is very adult. It is not young adult. It is.
I don't care. I don't care.
I mean, as in, but potentially borders on erotica.
That's fine.
Okay.
I think it's
Just
good to
warning.
mention. I think it's good to mention in the context, like if we're talking about the series, if people are going to pick it up and then continue on, that they have the
Right. Yeah.
right
There's
expectations
a
on
reason
other.
why The Fifth Gender is published under G.L. Carriger, not Gail Carriger, because of that. Yes.
I that's fine by me. But
I
yes,
enjoyed
I can
it. And
understand wanting to inform
Yeah.
the audience.
I found it very enjoyable, and I really hope that eventually the sequel comes out. But you know, it's also like got a mystery plot element to it, and I just really like that in the sci-fi world. So
You also like spicy mysteries and other things, which I will get to in
the right ones, yes.
when I talk about what I'm currently reading. Kelsey, do you
Yeah.
have other
This series
things?
has a romance in it, and book 2 gets very into the romance, but it's not spicy. There's not like on the page spice.
So she did release a cut scene from one of the books. It was one of the specials in her Cheer Up newsletter, and I read it. She described it as like a bit spicier, and I was like, Gail, this is not.
I think it's from book 2, and I think I know where it goes in the plot. Having read the book though, I don't think I need to read it, because like what the book did was
It was cut
on
for
its
a
own.
reason. She just released it as
Right.
a little, like, you know, from the
right.
files.
Like this book doesn't. This series doesn't need on the page spice.
Yeah. I don't
make
think it was
believe in this
spicy at all, though.
What?
I don't think it was spicy at
You
all.
don't
That's why I
think it
like,
was?
Well, you know,
why
young
did you
adult
find this as,
spicy.
like a stevier seed. It's just no. But then I have read The Fifth Gender, and that's kind of what I was expecting.
What's that, Kelsey? Do you have more?
I don't know if I have the emotion to talk about other things I'm reading. I have I did finish The Mimicking of Known Successes, which I rated 4 stars. I finished Venom and Vow, which I rated 3 stars. That one, like, I liked it enough that I might have rated it higher if I weren't reading it in like the best reading month of my life, where I was just throwing 5 stars at other books right and left. It was never going to live up to.
That's a very nice problem to have. I don't think I've had that problem in a long time.
Yeah, because I've now read 3 5-star books in February, and I talked a good deal about a warning about swans in our recommendations live stream, but this is absolutely something I'm recommending anyone read if they want to nominate things for the Lodestar. This is beautiful fairy tale YA in verse. And because it's in verse, it's very quick to read. You do still have time to read it before the deadline. The author is R.M. Romero.
Also, hello, Daniela, and hello, Jules. Welcome to the live.
Okay, so I put Divinity 36 on hold finally. There's a wait list at my library, which is nice to see.
Nice. Are the cats being shenanigans?
Well, Leia's on my lap, but I just heard an ominous thump followed by a little bell jingle, so I don't know. I'll just figure out what it did.
Uh-oh.
Luke is behaving badly somewhere.
He is.
Okay, I'll just quickly pearl these before I go, and I assume I can talk about my reading next.
I got the little criminal.
Little criminal. He looks like he has been caught red-handed. Yes.
He was. He knows.
Doing crimes.
He knows he's not allowed on the washing machine.
Okay, I have a few things. First of all, I am reading finally the last Will Darling book by K.J. Charles. I just started it today, And it's like immediately I hate Kim's family.
You're
with-
supposed to hate
with
them.
with the force of 1,000 sun. I know I'm supposed to, but it's like I don't think I have been this viscerally up like it's the like every time his brother is on page, it's just a visceral gut reaction of like, oh, this
Charles
man.
knows how to write the absolutely horrific posh upper class
Yes,
with prejudices.
yes, it's just like
she can make you hate them so much.
Yeah, this is like every time this character appears on page, somewhere I'm feeling the ancestral rage of my ancestors who fought on the side of the Reds in the Civil War. Like that is the state of emotional like vehemence that I feel when I read about this character. It's just like, oh, this guy, like, ugh. But it's good so far. I'm like 4 chapters in, so the main instigating conflict has like appeared, and the plot is moving forward, and it's also very spicy, and I like it, and I like it a lot. I have other KJ Charles books also on my Kobo now, because apparently this is what I need right now. Like I'm on a spice and a smut romance kick to get me through the slump that I have been in for the past year. It's just like, feed me.
Do you have
with the
all
romantic
hidden
stuff.
paths? Do you have all the hidden paths queued up to go? Because
I mean, I just put the hold on it in the library because I feel like for that I need the physical book, because I read the first one also in the physical format, just like the tactile experience. Another thing that I have been reading, I'm not sure if I talked about it in our previous live. I don't think we had a live in January, or did we?
We didn't.
No, we didn't.
We didn't. Okay, so
We
then
didn't.
I didn't get to.
That was when I ate a bad food right beforehand and was vomiting. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say good, but that's not good. but good that I don't talk about this twice. So, but basically, Cherry Magic, 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You a Wizard, is basically my new obsession. So, fun fact, I was coming home from New Zealand, and we had a layover in...
title.
Yeah. I will get to it. So we had a layover in Narita, and I bought the first 2 volumes in Japanese. And I read those because they have furigana, so it was a lot easier to read them, and I was trying to like practice on my Japanese. So I read those, and then immediately I got hooked, and I had to go and find the rest of the volumes, and now I'm all caught up with the English releases. I started buying this, and I also watched the entire anime that has come out, and now the drama series also, which is on Crunchyroll. So basically my whole life is now like with this, like I'm obsessed. But the basic thing is, the main character is like a salaryman, like an office worker, and he has never dated anyone. He's never really like been in love. He's actually had like a kind of like a traumatic relationship with like romance, because he's always kind of been rejected by people even before he could like get the courage to tell people that he had a crush on them and stuff. So basically he turns 30 and he's still a virgin. We can talk about the whole shitty concept of virginity on a like other day, but basically for the concept of this series, he's still a virgin when he turns 30, and that makes him a contact telepath. So when he touches people, he can read their minds. Yes. So that is the wizard capability. And then by accident, he touches one of his co-workers, Kurosawa here, when they get in an elevator, and he realizes that he has a crush on him. And after that, he kind of like, okay, he starts to be more open to the possibility, like they start to spend more time together and stuff, and he also starts to develop feelings for him. And it's just very wholesome, and like follows their relationship together, and also kind of looks at the like kind of comments on also the like gay rights in Japan as well, because like in the later volumes they actually like move in together and stuff. So it's very much like, it's very similar to Sweat and Soap in terms of like the progression of the relationship, that you have this very introverted character going out with a very extroverted character, and it's like the whole trajectory of the relationship from the very start to the very like end of like getting married and stuff like this. But this I think is actually better because the characters are more interesting, and Adachi, the main character, is a more interesting character than the main lead of Sweat and Soap, because unfortunately, like, this seems to be a recurring problem with like romance, like female characters in manga, is that they are not usually given the same amount of agency, whereas when these both characters are male, it's like suddenly they're more like allowed to be more interesting personalities, and that trips me up. But anyway, this is really good. I have been really enjoying this. The 10th volume is coming out very soon, or if it hasn't come out already, I need to go and buy it, because I'm just like, now they're looking to move in together. They're actually going to try and rent a house together. So it's getting to like very interesting bits. So yeah, I would recommend the live action drama is also very good. The anime changes. It makes some weird adaptational decisions for no reason, but it's still pretty decent. But the manga is excellent. Very, very much have loved it. What else? I need to talk about this webtoon. You remember a while back I talked about Betrayal of Dignity, which is the webtoon where I complained that if you only look at the characters' faces, it's very beautifully drawn, but when you look at the general anatomy, it's very like it takes tall main characters to an absurd extreme.
Oh, I remember this one.
Yes. So I can't recommend it, but I want to talk about a specific event that happens, which goes into a little bit of a spoilers territory. But I still think you can read. But so
I'm never going to read it, so spoil
yes.
it.
So basically, what happens is the Chloe, the main character, fakes her own death to get away from her husband, who is the main romantic interest. Now I'm here thinking, how in the hell are they gonna spin this in a romantic way? Because like, how are they gonna end up like, if you fake your own death to get rid of your husband, to get away from the relationship, how is this gonna get a romantic spin? Like, just like like what? like she arranged a whole like corpse from the hospital so that her husband would actually think she was dead. She burned down a cottage to make him think that she like got killed in a fire, and her like remains wouldn't be like identified, and moves to the countryside, completely cuts off contact with anyone who like might reveal her to him. And I'm just like, this is not something that someone like. This is not something that someone who wants to be in a relationship with someone would do.
Point of the story that there's a romance between her and her husband?
Yes.
Okay.
I know. It's bad. It's bad. The main male character gives off like Sarah J. Maas on crack energy.
Ooh.
In terms of like how the like it, because it leans heavily into those similar kinds of tropes of like, okay, here is a really toxic excuse my French, fuckboy, who we are supposed to view as the best romantic partner for this innocent, sort of kind of naive woman. And I'm here like, this man belongs in jail. That's jail time. Yes. I'm fairly certain that not even the most prolific romantasy writers could spin fakes her own death to get away from the relationship in order to have like a romantic come around a la Jane Austen in the third act. I don't think that's like, gonna happen.
This is giving me like dark romance vibes.
Yes, but it's like every single time they have these romantic moments together, we're supposed to be all wholesome and lovely, and I'm like,
No.
I feel
No.
bad. I feel
Speaking
bad.
of romance that we disapprove of, I am distracted right now because there are these two pigeons on my balcony who've been being all lovey-dovey with each other on my balcony for days, and then going in and out of my big litter box, which I have on the balcony, as if they're going to like build a nest in it. And I need to intervene. Like, this is getting bad because I'm gonna need that litter box when I get a new cat. And I think I need to take it away from them. Hold on, I'm just gonna take the litter box back.
But yes, basically that is what I'm reading. Also, I'm reading Harrow the Ninth now after all of these years. Everyone else and their mother has already read Harrow the Ninth, but
I have.
I mean, I loved Gideon, but it was one of those where like I wanted to reread Gideon before I read Harrow, and then I just never read Harrow.
Yeah, I basically like I was kind of like I liked Gideon enough, but I wasn't like loving it. But now that I mean, most likely I'm gonna see like the series end up again in the best Hugo ballot at some point, so might as well start making headway a little bit before the fourth one comes out eventually. But I actually have enjoyed Harrow more than Gideon. Like it is less funny than Gideon. Like or
I enjoyed
less
Harrow a good deal more
intentionally
than
funny.
Gideon, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm actually really liking it.
I enjoyed Nona more than both of them because like
That's good to know.
The one thing that like really dampened my enjoyment of Harrow was just how much like visceral blood and gore there was.
No, I didn't
And,
mind
like,
that.
See,
I
I have read Berserk for 25 years at this point. Like
and like my
I'm numb
experience
to
with
gore.
Harrow was that if the vibes were less blood and gore with this book, this could be like 5 stars for me. But because there is so much that I gives me nightmares to read, I can't even. I like this. I think I gave it 3 stars, but it was a better 3 stars than Gideon, and then I really liked Nona.
Yeah.
So,
but basically, I think those are all of the things that I have been reading. Is there anything else? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. So Rachel, you're up next.
Well, as a result of last weekend's live show, I've started reading All the Hidden Paths by Foz Meadows, which is the sequel to A Strange and Stubborn Endurance. I can never remember the adjectives in that title. I loved the first book. It was very addictive, so I was like, oh yeah, time to just binge read the second one before Hugo nominations close. I don't think I'm going to nominate it for Hugos, but I'm like 75% of the way through it. It's been the only thing I wanted to read until yesterday. So, yeah.
Good for you.
I am kind of obsessed with the angsty husbands in the story, but it's driving me nuts that they just won't talk to each other. And there's another character, another Rallian character introduced, who, and I don't think this is spoilers, he's trying to break up their marriage, and he has some interlude POV chapters with another character who I don't like. And I feel like they're being set up to be like a couple or something in book 3 or whatever. And I
have a very hard time knowing if you're supposed to like ship them at all in that book.
I would say yes, we could ship them, except that I find they're the only ones who have had sexy times in this book so far. Our angsty husbands are too scared of admitting their feelings.
They'll figure it out by the end. Don't worry.
Thank God.
Is this another barbarities thing where Joel and the himbo don't get it on, so that's why the side couple needs to carry the spicy times?
Yeah. They're one of the like the interlude in the middle of the book where or our side characters.
Well, that is the scene that I was talking with Angela about, where I like it feels gratuitous, like that didn't have to be on the page. You could have like a flashback later that told us what happened without doing the whole thing, unless there is some reason that these characters are going to need to like dissect what happened there and like deal with it in a future book. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think like I'm not fond of that particular type of pairing, and what they're interested in is not my thing. So it's kind of like, wow, this is a scene.
I also felt that.
Well, I put a hold on it at the library, so I guess I will fuck around and find out.
Yeah,
when it comes to that.
So I'm enjoying it, but I feel like I'm not responding to the characters' relationships as intensely as I did in the first book, because our side characters, I just don't know if I like them. I actively dislike the general. I will say that. I think he's no. And then Azrian is just, I don't know what to make of him. I don't know if we're supposed to like him or not. And anyway, I just want Vel and Kay to talk.
Don't worry.
Talk.
They will.
And I fully expect there to be like a hair braiding scene in the bathroom or whatever at some point. It's gonna be like, oh.
I have to say, I need all of the hair braiding and hair combing and hair play scenes in all of the romance and romantic scenarios ever.
Yes.
Like, yes, please.
I think this is a very specific thing that some people want in their romance, and that's why Foz Meadows has included in the world building that, like, oh yeah, in this culture, like, touching somebody's hair is practically like saying, like, I love you, you're my romantic partner, whatever. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like very intimate, yeah.
I'm on that train. I'm not complaining. So that is the novel that I'm reading, and I will hopefully finish that later today. No, Glenn, I haven't read Paladin's Faith yet, but please tell me there's hair braiding. It's on my get to this sooner rather than later thing. I have the ebook all queued up. But anyway, so I'm also reading manga because last weekend Rhea mentioned, oh yeah, you should like check out the Sign of Affection anime. It's really cute. It's like better than the manga. I had already had the first volume of the manga on hold at the library, and I got it and I read it, and I've read 4 volumes of Sign of Affection in less than 24 hours, and I'm about to read the 5th one, and it's killing me because I can't get volumes 6 and 7.
To be fair, the volume 6 and 7 just came out like around last year, so
I depending on how I feel after volume 5, I may break down and just spend the $16 to get the other 2 volumes on Kindle or something because I want to continue.
I will say that when it comes to the anime adaptation of that series, like, because I have also read like the start of the manga, the way the anime does JSL, like the sign language portion, is very good, because you actually like see the signs and they're very carefully animated. Also, they have a big budget on the animation. It is like so fluid and so beautiful to look at. Like each episode looks like it was a movie. Like that is the level of quality.
I'm definitely going to start watching the anime once I've read what I can of the manga.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see the sign language. So if anybody doesn't know, this is a contemporary romance manga about a young woman who is deaf, and she meets this guy at her university who travels a lot, and he's like trilingual, and he becomes very interested in learning sign language to speak to her, basically. And of course they start dating. So
yeah, and it also deals with like for example, the so-called second male lead in the series, who is her childhood friend, essentially.
I don't like him. He's got issues.
Yeah. But they basically, the series touches upon this idea of ableism through that character, because he's constantly trying to sort of inadvertently isolate her and like prevent her from meeting other people and coming into contact with other people, because he knows sign language. So he's basically like, well, I've made the effort to learn sign language, so therefore you should be with me. and like I'm the person for you because I've made this effort, but he's actively like trying to prevent other people from even coming into contact with her to make that same effort. And he's constantly also like choosing when to interpret what other people are saying to her. So like these kinds of things. So it touches upon that kind of like ableist mindset that like people can have.
The only thing that kind of bothers me about this, and I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier about other manga, like male and female leads, the female lead doesn't have as much agency.
Yeah.
And I think that's really accentuated in this series because she's deaf, and there's a lot happening in scenes and conversations with people talking around her that she doesn't know what they're saying, or they'll like make a decision without her really being asked about it. So she seems happy and she wants to be around her boyfriend and everything, but at the same time, it's like decisions are being made for her rather than them slowing down and letting her really participate in that. I do think that Itsuomi, is that his name?
Yes.
He's becoming better about that as she has advocated for herself a little bit in their relationship, like how to talk to her, what she wants, what she doesn't want. So
yeah, I think there's also this idea that because she's very sheltered in the show, the whole idea is for her to like for example, she wants to travel. She chose to go to this university because she's always gone to like deaf schools and stuff, like schools for deaf, and like from like kindergarten to like middle school and stuff. So now that or high school, and now that she's in university, she chose to go to a university that is not a school for deaf people. So it's like also a coming of age story as well as a romance.
Yeah. So that's what I have been reading. And I think a lot of us have said that we haven't been reading quite as much in February. I know multiple people have said that to me, and I don't know what it is about this month, but like I'm finally reading things, but most of this year so far, January and February, I've just been obsessed with wool. I got into preparing raw fleece, and yeah, that's
nice.
Y'all knew what was gonna happen.
Next up, the farm and the own sheep.
I can't do the farm. I'm not gonna take care of livestock. I don't like dirty things, and I live in the city, so not allowed.
You will get there. You will get there. One of these days, you will find yourself in a commune of like-minded people, and you have a farm and all of that.
Oh.
Before we move on to media things, one thing that I must get off my chest relating to the webtoon that I was talking about. When the guy, the main character, finds out, because he already found out that, you know, she faked her death, and now he's trying to find her, you know?
This sounds really toxic.
Yeah, I know. But he found the fact that she faked her death to get away from him to be hot. Because I was like, I knew you were smart and all of that thing. Like, he's intellectually attracted to her. Yes.
So many red flags in this relationship.
I know. It's bad. There's also I've been contemplating. There's also, because this webtoon is based on a novel, and I've been thinking that should I read the novel?
That? I mean,
but it's like this is like one of those things that I would call a guilty pleasure, because I'm like, I know this is not good, but at the same time it's like a train wreck. I have seen it happening, and now I can't look away. I just need to know the conclusion of this.
Oh my god.
Indeed. Kelsey just hiding her face with a hat, like, no. No. Yes. Let's move on to a media discussion. So I think Dai would be next, but since Dai is taking a break, let's move on to Kelsey. Have you been watching or doing anything?
I've been consumed by books. I can't focus on anything else. The books are eating my life, and eating my soul. I'm forgetting.
But that's a
eat.
good problem to have
I'm forgetting
since
to
we're on
eat.
BookTube. Like that is an excellent problem to have books consume your life because
There's
like
been no other media, only books.
okay, Dai, I will unleash you because I know you probably want to talk about Baldur's Gate
I
since you
did want
finished
to
it.
talk about Baldur's Gate. I finished my first playthrough last night. I skipped. I feel bad because I love Will, but also the ending to his quest was a boss fight I didn't want to do. So I didn't do that.
I think I know which boss, so ugh.
Yeah. But overall, I liked it. I do agree with the comments that Act 3 feel like the pacing of Act 3 feels really wonky compared to the rest of the game. But I love my ending with Karlach. I really like all the characters. Yeah, and then I've started my second playthrough, and this one I'm playing Dark Urge, which is interesting.
Which
I'm
character class?
Paladin.
Okay. Are you gonna do the Oathbreaker route or are you
I'm
just gonna do
trying real hard not to do it because I'm doing a resist one.
so you're not coming you're trying not to succumb to the Dark Urge.
Yeah, I might do give in to the Dark Urge later, but like right now because I don't like killing friends and I don't want to lose Will and Karlach because if I do that, then I will lose Will and Karlach. And Halsin, I'll lose Halsin as well. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, so I finished it. I liked it. I did end up bumping the difficulty down in the final boss fight just because I had to restart it a couple of times. I'm like, I just want to get this over with.
But you're playing the is it the heroes like difficulty or the hard one basically?
So for my first playthrough, I was doing balanced. So like the base level. So I bumped it down to like the easy level. But I think it was also I just didn't have the right party combo.
Yeah.
And I didn't have like the right spells for it. So I think it'll be like now that I know how it works, it'll be easier because I can prep for it better.
Glenn, I won't judge you because I am considering starting a save where I will specifically romance Gale, just to know what is going on with that man, because currently I just get very like, for context, in my save I have been romancing Astarion and I have not done anything with Gale, and Gale is just continuously bitching and moaning at me like how dare I choose another one over him, and I'm like, Gale, we were never anything to each other. What are you talking about, sir?
Patch that out because when I started in January, he definitely wasn't that bitchy to me.
But I kind of like that. I think it made sense with his character because he also talks about himself a lot.
Yeah. I will say,
you want to romance someone who is like that, though, like
because I want to romance every single romanceable character in the game eventually.
I think what I might do is I might play as. So here, my plan is I'm either going to do a Shadowheart origin run and romance Lae'zel for that sweet enemies to lovers thing, or I'm going to do Karlach and romance Minthara because I just recruited Minthara in my second playthrough. She's hot evil drow lady. Like,
yes,
it used to be you couldn't recruit her unless you basically slaughtered a bunch of people or you did a really convoluted workaround which involved turning her into a sheep.
Yes.
They patched it so that as long as you knock her unconscious when you fight her, she'll show up again, which I appreciate because I really wanted hot evil drow lady in my party without killing a bunch of innocent people. So anyway, but like I got her and she is so thirsty for Karlach right out of the gate. So I'm like, maybe I'll play as Karlach and romance Minthara.
So I'm planning, like, if I ever go for the romance Gale route, I'm gonna do an origin run as Astarion and romance Gale. Because that's also kind of a, well, not enemies to lovers, but kind of like
annoyances to lovers.
Annoyances to lovers type of thing.
Those two together.
Yeah, I'm currently romancing Asterion with my Dark Urge, and I did the build 3, so she's like very tall and muscular, which I appreciate.
Yes, my you've seen my tab die with the Tiefling Bard that I have, and they're a very muscular build, and they're like a head taller than Asterion.
It's actually so funny because it's such a different. So my first half, she's a dwarf bard, and so like for all the scenes where like Karlach is like, oh, like let's kiss, Karlach has to kneel down so that they can make out.
My favorite was that when I had the first spicy scene with Asterion, my character, because they're so much taller than him, they pick him up.
I got that as well.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah. So so right now my paladin, my Dark Urge paladin, she's a half drow.
Oh, Joe, you know Halcyon is gonna happen eventually. It's just that Halcyon is the long game because you can't recruit him to your party for quite a while.
So what I think I'm gonna do in this run, because Asterion is like one of the only people who's up to Halcyon's like, let's try polyamory. And so I think that's what I'm gonna do if I can get it, is Asterion as my main romance, but also Halcyon as like the second person, as like the third.
Yeah, I've been considering that as well, but I definitely want to try a Halcyon romance out. I kind of want to, like, I don't know which class I would go for with Halcyon, because I kind of want to do the whole. Maybe I would try as a Drow, because then there would be that whole cultural clash kind of enemies thing. Like I want to do the complete opposite, so he's an elf druid, so I would want to go with like something that would bring some conflict into that relationship. But yes, I'm so happy that you finished it, because like I need some inspiration to continue my playthrough, because I'm having the what's called the lähtökitka, the friction of starting again.
Yeah. So I'm glad I finished it, and because I am going out of town next weekend. I'm basically going to LA for 2 straight days of soccer, and then I'm coming back. So I'm hoping that will like give me a bit of a break.
Anything else you've been delaying or watching, or anything on the Star Wars front?
So I did start. So I finished Percy Jackson, and I liked it. Toby Stephens was great as Poseidon, although Poseidon is not beating those deadbeat dad allegations, even though Toby Stephens is a very good actor, and does like yearning very well. Poseidon is not beating the deadbeat allegations. It was also a little bittersweet because this was Lance Reddick's final performance before he passed away last year. And so it was just like, I miss him. I'm gonna like it. I don't know what the Horizon series is gonna do for video games, because his character Silence is so integral.
Yes.
So I have no idea what's gonna happen there. And then I did start rewatching. So Star Wars The Bad Batch started airing its final season last week, and I kind of petered out in season 1, so I went back and started rewatching that so I could maybe catch up before the season ends. But the reason I'm doing it is because I found out, because they released a trailer last month, and love of my life, my favorite bad bitch, Asajj Ventress, is back, and I need to know how it happens, because she was killed off in a book, and it remains like I nearly threw the book across the room when I read it. I was so mad. Because before Disney decanonized it in Legend, she faked her own death and got the hell out of Dodge, because she's like, I'm done with this war. I'm done with being a pawn. Like, I am out of here. And I'm like, they could have done the same thing, but no, they killed her off. But now she's back. And I'm like, how is she back? Don't make me see her die on screen, because I will be so mad. But like, she's back, and I'm so excited, but also a little scared.
I always like, I'm kind of miss this. It's been so long since you talked about Star Wars. I feel like it's been ages.
I mean, I think I talked a little bit of. Well, Ahsoka started airing during the actors' strike, so I didn't really talk about it all that much. So yeah, I need to get back to that now that I've hopefully put my Baldur's Gate brainworms into a little bit of a hibernation.
So speaking of Baldur's Gate, I will put it in the chat because I went and did a thing. I think I showed this to Rachel and Joe at some point. But basically, I got this shirt. I will
Wait,
link
did you
it
get
up.
it?
Oh yes, I bought it. I got this shirt that has a bunch of pictures of Asterion and it just says girl dinner. So I got that shirt and I'm waiting for it to come to me now. So this is the level of like fan gasming. It's like I'm buying merch. Also, I don't remember, was it I'm not actually sure which studio did it, but there's this studio that does like 3D prints of like characters, like they made figurines. So you get a 3D print of the figure, and you're basically it's like a resin cast. You need to paint it yourself. And they recently released both Astarion and Orin, and I'm kind of like, the Astarion is him with like lounging on a couch, and I'm just like, I kind of want it, but also I'm afraid to get it because I have to paint it myself, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna ruin it. But it's like this game is like brainworm, like the brainworms are in my brain. I'm obsessed. I don't think I have been this obsessed by a game since Horizon Zero Dawn. Like obviously Forbidden West 2, but like Horizon Zero Dawn lives in my head rent-free as well.
Speaking of Horizon Forbidden West, it's coming to PC.
Yes, I have heard. But I have it, like, the one thing I have is that I have both the games on console. Like, the one thing that I hate is that the DLC is PS5 exclusive.
Well, the one that's coming to PC has the DLC.
Yeah, that is the thing. I think I need to then buy the thing for PC so that I can play the DLC finally. This is like, damn you, Gorilla, damn you. Well, it isn't the first time I've bought the same game on a different console. Looking at you, Hades, which I have like I have Hades on PS4, on Switch, and on PC. And I have played it to 100% completion on each of these devices. So, at this point, it's like, ugh.
I am gonna finish this in February. By the way, I've already knit like that much in the live show.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm past the halfway point, so I'm flipping the colors. I'm very happy with this.
Dai, do you have anything for media, or shall I continue?
I'm all done with
I just remembered that I do, in fact, have a media thing. I just
go for it.
I have media too.
Okay,
Go for it.
because
Go ahead.
we already skipped over me because I proclaimed that I did not have media.
Yeah,
And
so
I
we
just
can
did
go
not have very
to
much
you.
to say about it because I got distracted after like 3 episodes of the newest season of Hilda and have only been reading since. But I am
Is
going.
Hilda? Is there a new season of Hilda?
Is
it on Netflix?
Last year, yeah. So there was the movie, which I thought was the end of the show.
Yeah.
But now there's a new season that came out late last year.
I have not seen the movie even. What? This on Netflix?
On this.
Yes.
Why?
What are you doing?
Why has no one told me?
I
Why
am
has not
telling
Netflix
you right
told me?
now. I'm doing you the thing. That's why I interrupted the whole conversation about other media to inform everyone
I need to get to Hilda. God damn. Because the last season that I have seen ended in a huge cliffhanger, and I was really
so
annoyed.
what you need to watch next is the movie, and then you watch season 3. I mean, season 3.
3. I mean, Joe, apparently it's been flying so under the radar that none of us knew, except Kelsey.
Netflix didn't notify me either, and I've had Hilda on my currently watching for
Yeah,
ages.
same.
Well,
that's good to know. I know what I'm doing next week-ish.
So you're welcome. You may go on.
Thank you. I much appreciate it.
Continue your media.
So I have been watching this Korean drama called Marry My Husband, which is a romantic reincarnation time travel series. So yeah. So so what happens? I have finished it. The ending, like it kind of trashes the bed in the last like 3 episodes or so. It's still tolerable, I suppose. But like the start of the series, like up to the halfway point, it's like very excellent. So what happens is that the main character, Jiwon, is like she has terminal cancer, and she finds out that her husband has put up a life insurance policy on her, where he's the main beneficiary, and he's basically waiting for her to kick the bucket. And he's also cheating on her with her best friend. And she finds this out. And when she finds out, they have an altercation and she accidentally dies. And she wakes up 10 years in the past where she has not yet married him, and decides that she will try to live the life that she wanted to have, like that she won't become like codependent on him and like basically like repeat the mistakes that she made.
Does she marry him again?
No. The whole point is that she realizes that the fate is kind of circular, so things that are meant to happen are gonna happen anyway.
Yeah.
So she realizes that in order for her to circumvent her fate, she needs for him to marry someone else. So she tries to set him up with her best friend that was cheating on her in the first place. So the whole idea of Marry My Husband is basically like she's trying to get revenge on them by basically like ousting this guy on her best friend, and she has all the knowledge of all of the things that has happened, and they're like don't know what she's like. It's great. And then of course there's the she falls in love with another man who is much better, and the romance is very cute with them because he's so supportive and stuff.
Is
but
the implication that she's going to be able to avoid getting cancer this time, or does she know that she's still going to die?
So the assumption in the start is that she like the thing is that in order to avoid a thing, someone else needs to have the thing. Like for example, there's this scene where like she has a scar in like a burn scar originally, like in the previous timeline, and then when she gets into that accident again, another character kind of takes the fall for her, so he ends up with the scar. And that's where she realizes that, okay, the only way to basically be able to circumvent the fate that she had is that someone else needs to suffer the fate, kind of thing. But the thing about the cancer is that it was basically caused by psychosomatic stress from her toxic, abusive bastard of a husband.
Oh.
That's not how cancer works.
That's how cancer works, apparently. In Korean dramas, that's how cancer works.
I'm confused and upset.
I know. I know.
I'm sorry.
I know. But like
as someone who had a family member die of cancer, that like, sorry, this is going to get really, really dark. Like where my brain goes is like, if we had a do-over, like, and could have gotten her a correct diagnosis sooner, could she have lived? And like that's where my mind would go if I died of cancer and got
Yeah.
a redo, is like, okay, when did this start, and like how could I get a quicker diagnosis?
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say that this series kind of goes off the rails a bit in the like halfway point.
Oh.
But like, for example, the first thing that she does when she gets into the past is that she goes to the doctor to like get screened for cancer. Like that's the first thing she does in like the couple of episodes. She says, okay, do I have it now? And stuff like that. So at least at the start, there's more like, you know, like how do I live in order? And she starts making like life choices to like live healthier in order to kind of like try to avoid it if she can. But then in the end, it's like, oh, it was fate all along. And if it just goes to this other person, then blah, blah, blah. It's a mess, but the like general premise, I thought like the first half of the series was actually really fun. And then it gets into like really convoluted, stupid territory. And I was just like, now it's a train wreck and I just want to know how it finishes. Because I just wanted to know how the main couple ends up together.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I would recommend people to watch it, except for the first like 6 episodes or so. Because the 6 episodes were fine.
I keep hearing about like K-dramas and stuff that like, oh, they're so good in the beginning and then they just sort of unravel at the end.
Yeah.
Someone recommended to me that is like on point ending.
One drama that I recently finished and watched and was actually like, okay, this is a thing with a lot of K-dramas that they do get a little bit convoluted, but this was, I think, like went through the ending pretty well. Like the ending made sense, and that's My Demon. And My Demon is essentially about this. So the main female lead is like a CEO of a company, and she's like very ambitious and kind of a workaholic, and she is adopted into this, like she has been adopted into this family that like was connected with her deceased like parents, and something happens that like her life becomes threatened essentially. And then there's this demon character who's the main romantic interest, who ends up kind of like his powers kind of end up becoming transferred to her, and they have to kind of coexist together, and they end up getting married even in order for him to like have access to her so that he can have access to his powers. It sounds convoluted, I know, but that series actually was pretty good.
And it ended okay?
It ended okay. It doesn't have a tragic ending.
I tried to watch the first episode of Doom at Your Service. I have no idea if this is a good show or not, but I did try to watch that, and it's kind of a similar thing here. A woman finds out that she has an inoperable brain tumor and has got like 100 days to live, and somehow she gets Doom involved in this and he shows up in her life. I hate him. He's annoying.
I mean,
I literally stopped watching. Like, number one, I don't think he's very attractive. I think he's like a very popular Korean actor or something, but he looks like he's pouting all the time. Like, meh.
Wait, Doom at Your Service, right?
Anyway, I did
need to
not
check
make it
who
to the
the
first
main-
episode because I was just like, this guy, I cannot.
Oh no, that actor.
So it's not just me.
Oh yeah, he was the yes, this guy. Oh god, he was in Master Son, the second male lead, and every single time I was just like, yeah, you can't compete with the other guy. Just don't stop trying.
I wanted to watch this show originally because Lee Soo-hook is in it. He's a supporting character, plays a supporting character, and I just can't with the fact that he is like potentially one of the most beautiful people on the planet, and the primary love interest in this series looks like that. It's like,
well, it's not like he like. It's a tastes are subjective.
I know, but I just like Also, he plays like a character who's supposed to be really like a really good friend to the main love interest, the lady, and I just want him to have more screen time. So whatever. Anyway, so I'm probably not going to continue with that, but
I'm still watching Death's Game as well, which I
Death's
talked
Game.
about last time in the Hugo nominations. Because the first 4 episodes are eligible. Actually, a lot of the episodes of My Demon are also eligible for Hugos, just so you know. K-drama is gonna make it to the Hugo ballot one day, I swear.
Someday.
Someday. There's a snowball's chance in hell, just like with manga. I'm constantly like, someday manga is gonna make it to Hugo ballot. It has had decades. I'm waiting for the One Piece fans to activate.
We're gonna find out.
Gee, what else? I watched Dune, the first part, because
That's what I was gonna mention today. Is I rewatched
because
Dune.
yeah, I'm going to see the second one tomorrow.
Wait, tomorrow?
Yeah,
You can
there's
see it
a
tomorrow?
yeah,
Yeah,
there's a tomorrow is the premiere.
I thought the international premiere was like the 28th.
Yes, it is the premiere when it becomes available to watch for everyone, but tomorrow is like the premiere, the red carpet event in Finland, and I got tickets for it.
Exciting.
I am really thinking about going to see Dune Part 2 in theaters. I will probably see it next weekend, like March 2nd or something. So, but I haven't gone to see a movie in theaters since before the pandemic, and I've only been to a movie on my own once. So
I love going to movies by myself. It's very
I'm so
Yeah, same.
conscious about it. I mean, I did enjoy it the one time I did it. I went to see Crazy Rich Asians in theater, and it was one of the best movie experiences I've ever had in a theater. Anyway,
Yeah,
we'll see if I get up the courage to go do it because I really want to see it.
I also recently, just like a couple of days ago, I watched The Untamed Heart, which is a very old movie from 1993 and stars Marisa Tomei and Christian Slater. And it was billed as this tragic romance between 2 lonely souls. And the guy is a stalker. The reason they end up together is because he ends up saving her from 2 guys that are trying to assault her when she's going home from work. And the only reason he's there is because he follows her home every night. And that's the romantic premise of the movie. And I was just like watching it like, I don't find any of this healthy.
I think a lot of movies from the 90s are like that. They're
Yeah,
just
and there's
messed
this one
up.
scene where he basically breaks into her home to bring her a Christmas tree because she mentions that they have a plastic tree now and she misses the smell of the like actual Christmas tree. So he breaks into her home at night to bring a real life tree into her room and decorate it. So she wakes up with the tree in her room. And then she goes to confront him about it, like, why were you in my room? And how did you even get there? And he explains it to her and then says, well, you know, that's not the first time I was in your room, or nor the last. And I was just like, what? What? And she's like,
bad.
and she's like, okay, and just rolls with it.
No.
like,
Call the cops.
Yes, basically. I was just like, what is it with 90s and even 2000s movies that had this weird mix of like here's this brute, like the only reason we don't think this guy is a criminal is because he has long hair and is relatively handsome.
Why
Why
is the theme of this live stream just like terrible, the worst romance?
I would like to say that is like it's better now in media, but then I
No.
remembered that You is a show on Netflix that's had
Yeah,
like
I know.
10 seasons.
I know.
So-
This is basically a precursor to You. Actually, it's like
oh my god.
it's like very similar, and they end up dating and everything. And I was just like, wow, this is
No way.
and I maintain my headcanon is that the only reason this woman dated him in that movie is because it was established that she has a very bad track record with men, and she only basically dates these abusive people. So I'm like, okay, she has some stuff to work through.
Oof.
But yeah, I watched that. 0 out of 10 experience. Do not recommend.
You finished watching this movie?
Well, it was a 1-hour movie. Movies used to be very short back in the olden times.
Wait, 60 minutes? Like one.
Like,
That's
it was like 80 minutes or so.
See.
But
Dune
still, like
probably was
nowadays
2.5 hours.
nowadays movies are like 2 hours and change. So
It's
Still,
a
like,
bit-
this is the thing with everything being streaming, is that I DNF movies all the time. Like, if I hit like a single scene in a movie that isn't living up to my standards, like, I'm done. I never finish movies anymore. I can't make myself.
I
lot of
wish
people
I
have
had
a
that because
detriment
I'm a
in it.
completionist.
Yeah, I just forget that I started something. Like most of the stuff that I start watching on Netflix, I never finish. I forget that I'm like 30 minutes into the movie or halfway through the first episode.
Yeah, yes.
Dismal.
Yes.
Did I ever tell you that I watched Bridgerton?
No.
All of
I
it.
did watch Bridgerton. All of it.
I never made it through the first season.
Second season is better. I think the romance in the second season is better than like or rather I like the dynamic of the two characters. I don't appreciate the sort of kind of cheating aspect of the second season because the main character is like betrothed to another person and it's like it's really kind of convoluted and I don't like the resolution of that isn't the most satisfying. However, I will say that I did enjoy Bridgerton and Jonathan Bailey, very good actor. I enjoy him in that
I
series.
do like him. The reason why I didn't make it through the second season is because I just didn't like his character.
See, I like his character. We have established that I have a thing for assholes, I think.
I guess. I don't know.
haven't seen it, but like I've seen still like gifs of it, and Jonathan Bailey does very good yearning face.
Yes. Yes. I also especially like in Bridgerton season 2 when he goes there's this montage where he interviews potential brides and I was just like, yes, that is the energy in which I approach dating in 2024.
I think I got really mad at his character because he was basically like doing whatever the heck he wants, sleeping around, and then he turns around and has this complete expectation of the perfect wife. And I'm like, I hate you a little bit right now. And I can't believe that this very beautiful woman is interested in you.
But that also makes perfect sense with his character because he's kind of entitled a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
And that's why he makes perfect sense with Kate, who is like not having that at all. She's like, yeah,
I did really
fix
like
yourself.
Her. I really liked her.
I do like that Rajay Jain was like, I'm just doing one season and piecing out. And I'm like, you know what? Good for you. Go do more Dungeons and Dragons movies because you were great.
He was hilarious in Dungeons and Dragons. He wasn't even in it that long, but he was hilarious.
Like, I mean, I do love all of Dungeons and Dragons, but like his character is just like perfect paladin, perfect.
Yes.
Hey, like you're an underlevel party going into a dangerous place. I'm going to give you someone to help you.
Yes. And then he just nopes out because it's like my job here is done. But I also love that because he was only in the first season and didn't come back, the second season is like these explainers of why the Duke is not here. So there's these references to the Duke, but he doesn't show up, and I just like found that kind of funny. But I don't think the main character from first season is not returning to the third season either.
Yeah, she's
so
not coming back.
So I think now there's gonna be like, I wonder if Jonathan Bailey is gonna come back.
He is. They've shown stills of him and the actress who plays Kate.
Yeah. Excellent. Because to be honest, I'm not really here for the third season pairing, but I want to see Jonathan Bailey and like now I'm just gonna Google the actress's name because it feels unfair to.
I think it's Simone something. Simone Ashley.
I just want to know the actors, please.
Lori is doing that. Something I'm looking forward to that started filming Leverage Redemption season 3. It's happening.
Yes. Di, you were correct. It's Simone Ashley.
Yeah, so they've John Rogers is back as the showrunner. He was doing like executive producing stuff for the first 2 seasons, but someone else was showrunning it. But he's back for it, and we know Aldous Hodge is back at least for a few episodes.
Really?
Yeah, he shows up. He's shown up in like basically the first few episodes of each season, but he like couldn't stay full time because he's really talented and he's booked and busy.
I need to get back to watching season 2 of the original show, and his character and Parker are my absolute favorites. I watched them.
Love how they handled their romance, like especially given Parker is. I don't know if they outright say she's autistic, but she's at least coded as autistic.
Yeah.
And I like how they have Hardison be someone who's like really interested in her, but doesn't like put pressure on her to return his feelings before she's ready. So like it's very much like, hey, these are my feelings, and I'm like I'm not putting pressure on you. Like you do what you need to do, figure yourself out, and if you have feelings for me, like I'm here for you, but if you don't, that's fine.
I need to keep watching so I can get to that point in the story then.
That's in season 3.
Okay.
Rachel, what have you been watching aside from Dune?
Dune. I have also been keeping up with Delicious in Dungeon on Netflix.
Yes.
So I know everybody is very into the manga right now because of Raya, but I really like the story and the characters better on the anime.
So there's actually not a lot that has changed adaptation-wise.
No, and I
it's
think
very
up to the most recent episode is like episode 8 or something. That's the first one where I haven't read the manga up to that point, so it's new to me.
Yeah, but in terms of like
very similar
characterization, it's very much like almost frame to frame, like frame to panel adaptation.
Yeah,
of
it is.
The manga. The only thing that they have axed is basically the kind of food compositional charts that Ryokugui has.
There's still so many shots of food though.
And also, like, I love that Studio Trigger is the one animating it, because, like, Studio Trigger probably most well known about Gurren Lagann and also Little Witch Academia, which also, like, Little Witch Academia, if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend. Very beautiful, very, like, wizarding school or witch school.
I watched a couple episodes of that.
It's excellent. It has 2 seasons and 2 short like movies.
Is it
I don't remember why I couldn't get into it, but
it's not exactly like Witch Hat Atelier. It's more like it kind of like takes cues from The Worst Witch, in that there is a witch who isn't really good at being a witch, who's the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an in-universe reason for it, but it's basically about found family and friendships and, like, it's a boarding school witch series. And it's really good. In one episode, they go to Finland.
Stories at all.
One of the witches is Finnish, or Finnish-Swedish, I should say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and in one episode they go to Finland, and it's very funny because you can see that they did research of, like, they go to this tram, and it's a very specific tram, and then there's this, like, franchise kiosk stuff, and I was like, oh, I see what you did there. It's very funny.
I think I bounce off boarding school stories where you're supposed to have like positive, warm, fuzzy feelings about the boarding school, just because like the idea of going away to boarding school would have been my childhood nightmare. And like that's the reason that I could never get into Harry Potter as a kid.
Yeah.
And I think I still bounce off of stories like that for like deep visceral reasons.
For me, the boarding school stuff feels very much like, obviously as a real life institution, it is very classist, it is very abusive and stuff, but as like a fictional like story tool, I find it very interesting because to me it feels like escapism, because there are not a lot of private schools in Finland. Like pretty much like 99% of all schools are publicly funded by the government, and all of the schools are co-ed. You don't have girls' schools or boys' schools or anything like that. All of the schools are co-ed. There's no uniforms. So basically all of those aspects feel like complete fantasy to me. So that is why I like stuff like boarding school, like fantasy stories like The Worst Witch and stuff feel like they have this extra layer of like, wow, this is fantastical, because it's so far removed from the reality of my schooling experience, because there wasn't anything like that here and still isn't. So but then reading up on it and actually like, you know, reading like people's actual boarding school experiences, and also like watching like more down to earth versions of like movies where boarding schools are not really like positive, it's like, wow, this is not great. This is really not great. But I also feel like all of those aspects, like for example the abusive aspects, are very present in the, like for example in Harry Potter, and they're not addressed at all. They're just like, yeah, this is just par for the course of experience here.
Like I remember reading, I only got through the first 2 Harry Potter books as a kid, and just being so freaking terrified of Hogwarts.
Yeah, I mean,
and like, I know that's not most kids' experience of reading those books. People read those books and they want something of that Hogwarts experience. They want that place to feel like home for them. And it was just not my experience of those books at all. It was like, this place is my worst nightmare. I don't want to read about it. So, and part of that is just like, I had the amazing, incredible privilege of, you know, having 2 wonderful parents who loved me very much, and I was very, very close to my parents growing up. And like the idea of being separated from them was just like horrific to me. But also like all of the things about, like, I was not like socially good in any sort of institutionalized setting. Like I don't know. Hogwarts just seemed like all the worst things that could possibly happen to a child.
Yes, and it is completely correct.
But also the idea of boarding school sounded nice, because then I would get some space from my sibling who, like, I do like as adults we get along, but like I cannot live with, like, I think we both mutually agree, like, we can't live together ever again. I mean, not to be too much of an astrology bitch, but like we have the same moon and rising signs. We're both Cancer moons and Libra rising, but I'm a Leo and they're a Scorpio, which is just like bad news bears.
I feel like as an adult, like as a child, the whole fantasy of that was like, because I didn't really like think about it. As a child, you focus on very different things on fiction in general. And I think now, like, and even as a teen, I started questioning, like, when the later books were coming out, because, you know, I was a fat kid, so a lot of the messaging in that series was very mean-spirited. So I was wondering for a long time, like, why, even though I'm excited to read these books, every time I read these books, I end up feeling like really bad, and really bad about myself specifically. And I think that part of it is that you end up internalizing a lot of the messaging of, like, you know, if you're a fat kid, then you're this and this, and you're less than all of the other, and then there's like not like any kind of representation on the positive side of that spectrum, aside from like these older matronly like mother figures. Like, that is the only kind of like fat person that is allowed to exist in that universe, essentially. So that was one thing that started putting me off. And then in later years when the movies came out, and this is not to trash on the actors, but the only way for a character to be respected is that when they have the glow up of growing up out of their fatness. And that is not something that the actor can, you know, control, but it does send a certain type of message.
Yes.
That said, I would still recommend like the on a tangent, because that series Little Witch Academia was animated by Studio Trigger, who is also responsible for animating Delicious in Dungeon. They're very
that
much
was a big tangent, and I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
know,
I
it
was
was
responsible
very
for it.
huge
Sorry.
tangent. I just remembered why we were talking about it in the first place. But yeah, like Delicious in Dungeon has very fluid animation. Like, all of the scenes where they're in these like big rooms and there's like more action, it's very fluid. And like sometimes the characters go a little bit off model because they're trying to emphasize that like feeling of action and just like like this kind of like aggression of things happening. I think it's like really beautiful. And
my pigeons are back, and they're looking for the litter box that I took away from them.
Well, I mean, if they're going to continue to be inappropriate out there, you might have to give them a home.
I mean, poor pigeons. They've been like.
I'm not going to be able to, though. My building is literally doing like facade repair work for the next month, and there's going to be a point where I have to take everything in off the balcony. They can't be there.
I was very unhappy when I found out that the reason pigeons can't build nests like is because they've been like domesticated for so long and then kind of released to the wilds to fend for themselves. So now they have lost the ability to build nests, so they just put two sticks together and hope for the best. And I just find that to be like the saddest bird fact I have ever like realized. So anything else from anyone else regarding media or anything?
Nothing.
Because we are coming up on our regular 2 hours soon. So this is your time to mention some important stuff if you would so choose. And if not, whose channel are we on next month? I think it's going to be Kelsey, maybe, or is it Rachel?
I did. Let me look at the spreadsheet because we did talk about this and update it.
We did like skip me entirely the ones.
Yeah, our schedule is we're back on track with the schedule though. So
yeah, because I'm April, August, and December.
So I think then it's Kelsey next month.
I think so. Yes, March is Kelsey.
Yay!
Yes. So on March, in March, we're gonna be on Kelsey's channel. We will let you know the proper date when we have decided on it. But look for Kelsey's channel for notifications and other stuff. And yeah, that's it for us. Finally, let's go over where people can find us, starting with Kelsey.
You can find me on YouTube, on TikTok as the Fancy Hat Lady Reads. You can find me on Mastodon. I'm no longer posting anything but like the most important of updates on Twitter. You can find me
In TikTok.
I already said that.
Did you? I thought you said
Yes.
Mastodon and YouTube.
I said YouTube and TikTok first. I'm gonna have to do another rebrand of the Instagram. I never told Instagram that Jammy died, so I don't know what to do with that account now because I made it for Esme, and then I was transitioning to Jammy content, and I don't know what to do with the Instagram.
At this point, I mean, it's probably better for like your own mental well-being to just start from scratch, so you don't have to think about it too much.
Start from scratch with a new Instagram account when I have a new cat.
Well, not necessarily a new Instagram account, but you can always archive old pictures, like.
Yeah.
And you still have access to them, but they're not like,
Public.
visible on the page.
Yeah, might do that. Anyways, on that lovely note, those are the places you can find me.
How about you, Di? Let's go in reverse order.
You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube at Bookish Die. I am really going to try and have something up in the next week or so too on YouTube because I have taken an unintentional hiatus. I need to get back to posting.
Rachel.
You can find me in the Stitch and Bitch live shows. Not really posting on anything on YouTube for just myself these days. I'm also on Instagram. If you want pictures of my dog and my spinning and jigsaw puzzles, that's where that is. I'm not active on Twitter anymore, but I am trying to be a little bit more so on Blue Sky. So.
And you can find me also on the Stitch and Bitch live shows. That is the most consistent thing that I am doing right now. I am toying with the idea of coming back intermittently. But I still need to maybe I will do a video of like just a catch up on all of the stuff, and maybe that will be in like, that feeling when you've been away for so long that you don't know what to even talk about when you come back, like that thing. So I might just start with where have I been, but I'm not making any promises right now. You will see me when you see me.
If I've been away from YouTube for a while, is to just like do a book haul.
I haven't been buying books. I have been fiscally responsible.
You could do a library
book haul.
Do a library haul.
That is true. I could do a library book haul. I actually have a lot of books coming from the library soon, so maybe I should do that. Thank you for the ideas. So next month, yes, Joe, maybe we should talk together about like support each other through these tough times of how to come back to video making. So next month we will be on Kelsey's channel, so you will see us then. And with that, happy Sunday, and we will see you next time. So bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.